Hey guys, welcome back to the fourth and final video in the goal planning series. Now we have used our workbook here to discover our goals, and you can see I have my workbook all filled out. If you did not have a chance to get through the workbook or see the videos in which I walked through the workbook, go ahead and start the playlist at the beginning. I will put the link up in the corner for you so that you can watch everything because this is actually really important. This is a really important piece for setting up our planner. So I have my vertical plans by Just Scribble here. And as you can see, there is nothing in this planner yet. I have not pre-done anything. We are going to fill this in, and we're going to use these goals that we set up in order to do that. Now, it has been, there was a night in between when I did this, kind of these last two pieces, and now when I'm going to set up my planner. And one of the things that happened overnight was I really thought about all of this and just how exhausting this looks to me. There is so much going on here. And so I took a couple elements from this and moved them elsewhere. And so I'm going to kind of walk you through the changes that I decided to make to these. So one of the things is I already created this Patreon page. So that has been taken care of already. And this whole workbook is now going to be available as a freebie on that Patreon page. So I will reiterate that in the introduction video because I need to make that last. I want to make sure that I've completed the whole process before I introduce you to the process. So the Patreon is already created. I did that this afternoon. I'm going to make this whole printable part of that as a freebie. So you can get this there and there will be no charge for it. In fact, I set it up so you don't even have to be a member in order to get it. Because I want everybody to have access and I want to give you the opportunity to see the Patreon page, and maybe you'll be interested and maybe you won't. And either way is perfectly fine with me. But you should be able to get that printable there. So that is going to be fine. I am going to do this physical unboxing. I'm going to stay with that because I like that. I am going to remove two huge items from this, and that is the studying for the Aries and the writing the novel. And the reason is the sooner that I spend the time and invest the time in the YouTube channel and making that the best it can be, the better I will be at being able to make extra time for myself to do the studying and the writing. And so I'm going to skip those two goals. So let's go over to here. And again, we did not necessarily define that one. But I am going to cross out the test taking and cross out the writing. And I'm doing that very, very deliberately, very intentionally, and I am in fact going to make a note to myself that I am not to get distracted by trying to do these two things in the first quarter of the year, because that way I will save time to focus on the things that are more important that I want to make sure that I'm getting done. So let us take this and go to our define page where we're defining our outcomes. Then we've got our milestones and our inputs. So for quarter one. So we are going to finally get into this book. And we're going to start here with our annual goals. I have got things set up normally by categories, and I kind of want to keep those categories going into 2026. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this wonderful red. I do have some colors out here because we are going to set up January, and I don't have the Coffee Monster Co. stickers yet, but I do have the colors set aside for January. So anyway, as part of this, we are going to start actually with Earth. So let's start with a nice green. We're going to start with this green. And actually, I'm also going to start with a light green. I'm going to get a pink kind of for the red because I want to be able to read this. And so in the past, let's see what we did last year as our guide. I guess I can read on each of these as long as I pick a better, maybe not such a dark green. So let's see. Let's pick a lighter green. Lighter, but not too light. We're going to pick a red, a green, not a pink, a yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and stick with my favorite yellow, and then a blue. And one of the things that I don't love is the selection of blues from, I think I'm actually going to go ahead and use this one. I don't love the selection of blues from the Tombow collection. There's not a really, really great blue that I absolutely love. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just not my favorite. So I'm going to go ahead and take my horizontal book, and I'm going to put this under here to make it easier to write on. If you don't have the horizontal, I know some people kind of take their book and fold it in half like that, just so that you don't have that big change in elevation between this side of the page and this side of the page. And so I'm going to take this and note here. This is going to be Earth. And then I'm going to just kind of draw a box around here. And I want to write in what Earth is in terms of my planning. So I'm going to draw another line kind of here. And we'll just kind of dash it in. Just kind of figuring out what I think works with the overall layout of the page. And Earth for me is going to be stability. And we can just put like that. And this is going to be home and garden. And now I'm going to look at which of these came from Earth. And so I'm going to have that the goal of having the home established. And we're going to look, so that's what I said that I want to achieve. And we looked at the 4 different elements of what that looked like here. So I'm going to put that quarter 1. We're going to unpack. Quarter 2, we're going to declutter. Quarter 3, we're going to get organized. And then quarter 4, we are going to start looking for property, right? So we're going to get where we're at now, ready to go, and then we will look for property. And then I'm going to put in here that I have a side quest. Of having a mobile home. Okay, so I'm putting that in as a side quest because we'll see if that ends up happening this year or that ends up being something that gets tabled till next year. That is going to be what the first section looks like. Right now, that is the only real goal that I have in this category. So we are going to go ahead and get our other categories ready to go here. So we're going to look at, I'm going to do all of the elements over here, then spirit, other, and then we'll have these 2 boxes for these 2 boxes here in case anything comes up. So we'll have 4 elements, spirit, other, and then anything that might come up. So let's go ahead and put in this one. And this one is our air element. Now you can do this however you want. You can categorize these differently. This categorization just makes sense to me. Again, I left the workbook completely ambiguous in terms of what those categories are so that you, if you want to use categories, can define those yourself. You don't need me to define what your important categories in life are. That is none of my business. That is something that is totally you. And so you go ahead and take care of that on your end. Again, this is just what works for me. It also helps keep me aligned with the elements, the different areas of life, so that I'm not always just hyper focused on work and neglecting other things. You know, this the work and money quadrant tends to, at least in this phase of life, be something that is a high focus, oftentimes a high priority. And I do want to, have my priorities there, but I also want to make sure that I am looking at other areas as well. Ooh, I did a little dot there and I really kind of like that. So we're going to add some dots. We'll add some dots up here. That was a mistake, but it was a nice mistake. I liked it, so we're going to go with it. Then we're going to figure out our water. I do not like that color for water. Let's pick a bolder color. Let's go with this as our watercolor. You see what I mean about not having just a blue that is kind of my go-to blue. I would really love to find kind of my go-to blue, and I should put that one there. Okay. This is water. Now I could get a ruler out and use a ruler for all of this, but I'm not trying to make something that looks like it was professionally done. I'm trying to make something that is going to be useful for me going forward and help me stay on track throughout the year. So let's see. Then we have our these are going to be, so I'm probably off camera. There we go. Okay. These are going to be just in kind of a more of a gray scale. Not that they're any less important. But I always used to use the gray for the spirit because it kind of made sense, more of a silver color. But we will put these in like this. And then again, we have this nice little pattern here, like that. And if your book has, a different area, you can categorize this very differently. This is just, again, what makes sense to me with the way my particular book is, the layout that I have here. So this is spirit, and this is other. I'm thinking that I might use this section. I have two at the bottom, and I think that I might use that. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make the call now. I'm going to use purple for these. And we're going to make these kind of our record keeping area of this. So this, we're going to kind of follow along a little bit with the design, the way I did it. go. Right? And this is going to be completed DNF. It is decided not to finish DNF. So we've got all of our areas in here. We are going to get everything written in here. So this is inspiration. And that is knowledge and creativity. And then I am going to take this piece of paper. Well, actually, I'm going to take the, let's see if we can't find that. I'm going to take this piece of paper. This is just a piece of paper from the book that I haven't written on yet. I'm just going to put that there so I don't smudge things with my hand, right? So we're going to look at air, and we've got the drone, we've got the videos, and we've got books. So let's look at what those look like. This is quarter one. We don't want quarter one. We want the whole thing. There we go. All right. So we have got this one. This one is in our book already. We've got drone flying. So here we go. That is our next one. And in drone flying, we only set quarters 1 and 2. Quarter 1 and 2. So we're going to complete the Pilot Institute course for my drone. All right. Then we have our vlog and editing, and I'm just going to leave a couple lines blank and put it down here so that we have quarter 3 and quarter 4 that we can add in. I just don't know where this is going to take me in terms of the rest of the year. I don't know what the next course of action is going to be after completing that course. So I'm not going to really get bogged down in what that is right now. I can always add that later. So on the vlog editing, well, first of all, we will mark our drone flying as something that we have in there. Then vlog editing is number 7. So for quarter 1, I'm going to take a course. Remember, we determined that that was what I was going to try and figure out how to do. And I'm going to create one video from that course. And then quarter 2, I'm going to create a one video. And this is going to be planned ahead, right? Because we talked about I'm gonna plan ahead. For that, quarter 3, I'm going to do 5 videos. And then quarter 4 is going to be 5 more videos with drone footage. Now I may decide to use them in here, drone footage, but right now that is what we determined. And then my last goal for air was to read 26 books. So in quarter one, I'm going to read 9 books. Quarter two, another 9 books. Quarter three, we're only going to do 3 books. And then quarter four, 5 books. That should bring us to a total of 26. So now you can see that we're starting to really build out very specific goals in here. A lot of people talk about SMART goals, and I didn't really touch on that during the first 2 when I was going through all of this. But because SMART goals don't always work for me. SMART goals are not always my forte. I tend to kind of overanalyze and overthink a lot of goals, but things like the reading 26 books, that is a SMART goal. That's specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, all of the things that a SMART goal would have. But some of them are more vague, like unpacking, right? So I know what it's going to look like because I have figured out what it's going to look like. It doesn't have to necessarily look like a SMART goal in order to do that. So let's go to our next category here. Where did we put this? Okay. So now fire, that is anything money and career related. So I'm going to put in here YouTube. And then I'm going to make a note, see YouTube planner. I'm going to put all of my YouTube related goals into this planner instead. So I'm not keeping them here. So that is, I'm going to put a little arrow there that I've noted it in this one. And then we have got Pass Aries. And we went through that whole exercise of planning this for quarter one and what that was going to look like in quarter one. But at the beginning of this video, you remember me saying I decided that this is not happening in quarter one. So I'm going to put quarter one hold. And that is going to be my note to me to indicate that I am not doing anything on this in quarter one. Quarter one, I'm going to focus on more of the YouTube area. And so I don't want to be doing anything on that. So I'm going to put the other quarters. I'm going to see what ends up happening with quarter one and then when I do my review and plan for quarter two, then I'll look at that a bit closer. But for right now, that is on hold. The same thing, let's see. Okay, let's come here. So past the Airy. So then the next one is the Roth funded. Fully. Let's put that. And we're going to say for this that in 2025, for me and my specific situation, 8,000 is the maximum I'm allowed to contribute. And then for 2026, that maximum allowable amount will be 8,600. Okay, so I'm just going to put the numbers there because I have other things in here that I want to include, and I don't want it to take up all the room. So then here we have pay off all debt. And what that is going to look like, let's see, we have short-term debt, student loans, and property. Now I also need to put what fire means. So fire is passion. And this is career and money. All right, then let's move on to water. This is our health area. So right now, I really only have the one, but it is a big one. So this is lose 100 pounds. So we are going to put here our Q1 goal, and that is steps to 5,000 per day, which will be much better than what I am doing now. See, water to 8 per day. Sleep, this is something I've been tracking ongoing. Average 8 hours per day. And with those 3 things, hopefully, let's go hypnosis. So I've added some here that are not part of here because they're ongoing. I already had them on my radar. So hypnosis 3 times per week. They're already on my radar. And so if I do all of that, I should, in theory, lose 25 pounds. That's the goal. I am not going to get into Q2 and 3 yet here. It feels like just too much to try and figure out. I want to see how all of that affects my overall health and well-being before I add anything else to that. So water is transformation. And I call this one health and wellness. Now we will go up to spirit. We will remove this one. Now for spirit, now I know I'm changing things around just a little bit. Well, I'm not actually. So I did put the Atlantis novel under spirit. I also do have hiking under spirit. So let's start filling this one in. So the spirit are the things that this is adventure and it feeds my soul. So we're going to put down here, the first thing is going to be travel. And under travel, we have Q1 Florida work trips. Kansas City. I'm just going to put down all of my quarters here. For quarter 2, we are going to have a holiday. We have a trip back to see family for the South Bend Cubs. We have a holiday. We have another holiday in quarter 4. So all of those are going to be trips. And then I'll put in when I decide when the Colorado trip is going to be, things like that. So we have that. We have Atlantis novel. We have, I'm just going to put first draft. And then again, we decided today that for quarter 1, and we looked at it here, right? For quarter 1, I am not going to focus on that. So again, this is going to be a hold. Quarter 2, we'll see. Quarter 3, quarter 4. And then lastly, we want to go hiking. And we decided on here, that we're going to do 12 Missouri Park hikes. We'll see what that looks like later on. I haven't figured that out. I didn't move it as one of my main goals, but I'm going to put it in here. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, let's see. This is, we said, adventure. And this feeds my soul. Nothing earth-shattering. Feeds my south, huh? Okay. The first mistake of this book. It's never fun when you make that first mistake. But it happens. Feeds my soul. There we go. Okay. And I think I'm maybe... See, I keep moving this little bead of ink over, so I'm going to wait for that to dry before I do anything else. And then this one, we have the recipe book. And we know that for quarter 1, we are going to input 10 recipes per week. Quarter 2, let's see what we're going to do for quarter 2 here. Quarter 2, what did we decide? We are going to add photos and narratives. Quarter 3, organize monthly pages. So I have this book organized by month. So, you know, if you're looking for a Christmas recipe, it's going to be in December, those kind of things. So if you want Cinco de Mayo or you want a Mexican recipe, you're going to look at Cinco de Mayo, which is in May. That kind of thing. So that's why monthly pages. And then I have a full herbal at the back because I have long been into herbal remedies, and so I'm going to organize the herbal there. And then these two will just be a list of everything that I have actively finished or decided not to do at all this year. So there's my goals for my annual goals for 2025 or 2026, excuse me. So we are going to look at, I'm going to put this between for right now. We are going to look at quarter one here. So I'm going to get rid of this and this, and we are going to look very closely at our what our quarter one looks like. So our main focuses in quarter one, I want to pick out the three most important things in quarter one. The things that I really want to focus on. And so the first one, I'm going to go ahead and put a double line here. So for this, no matter what I try and do, no matter how much I try and figure out quarter one and what I think I can do, there are always going to come times when I have to pick one thing over another. And so even though I have all of these different plans and things that I want to get done, I need to select the things that are going to be the most important to me, to achieving my goals and moving the needle forward on the elements that I want to move forward on in my life, right? So what are those things going to be? And I have already kind of pre-selected two of those that I know are going to be important. And then let's see, what's that third one going to be? So I don't want them to be in the same categories at all. And I think I always want to have something that feeds my spirit. So let's do that here. So this is just going to be a very quick reminder to me. I can come to this page and I can figure out exactly what I need to be working on, I need to be focused on. And so my three that I'm going to focus on are YouTube, health, and travel. All right. Now, YouTube, because, one of my big goals is ultimately getting this YouTube channel to kind of be my source of income in the long term. And so that is a big, 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 big goal. But right now, for quarter one, I want to monetize my channel. For health, I want to increase, my main thing is to increase step count to 5,000 steps per day. And I want to plan in the first quarter, plan all 2025 26 trips. So I want to get all of my trips planned so that I can start to make reservations, things like that. So those are the three things that I will consider it an accomplishment if I do those things. So for the last month of the quarter, I want to be at, we decided, that we were going to get to 3,500 on the step count. So again, here we go. Increase step count to 3,500, right? We're going to get to 10,000 by the end of the year. We're going to increase to 3,500 and then we'll do 5,000 by the end of quarter two. So those are my big things. I'm going to write notes about my progress in here. And then over here, I'm going to take each of these goals, and I'm basically going to do the exact same thing I did here, except I am going to refine those. I am not going to go through that whole process again because I don't think that you need to see that whole process, but I'm basically going to break down here on this page what this looks like for quarter one. So when we go, I will do one just to kind of show you. So again, we will draw our little box. And we'll write here that this is going to be Earth, right? And I'm going to put my big goal for quarter one on Earth is going to be to unpack. So we talked about this, what this is going to look like in quarter one. Let's see. Where we defined our where is the page where we defined our goals? I set it aside. Okay, so for quarter one, we are just going to unpack. We decided that. And then we looked at quarter one. Where did that page go? Here we go. All right. So this is what I want for each of these things. So quarter one, I determined that I am going to unpack the apartment. So this is where I'm going to put check boxes or slashes. For me, whenever I put a slash like that, that notes to me and to my brain that it is a task. So the task for quarter one for Earth is to unpack the apartment. For the first subtask is going to be the dining room. And the date that I want that completed. So we talked about this. The date I want that completed is going to be January 17th. I want this done by 1/17/26. Next up, we have the office. I want this one done by February 7th. 2/7/26. Then we're going to have the kitchen. So this is where I'm breaking it down into these smaller tasks. And I'm noting what all of those smaller tasks are. So that's going to be the 28th to 28, 26. I'm putting times on here of when I want these things done. And then our very last one is going to be the bedroom. And we want that done on by the 21st of March. So 3, 21, 26. Now I'm also going to write in here that I will spend, what I'm going to do, I will spend 1 hour each Saturday unpacking the specified area Now I want to put in a subnote here that if I'm busy Saturday, I need to pick another day. So I'm not letting myself off the hook. I can't say, for example, oh, well, we went to this ice carnival and I didn't have time to do the task that day because we were gone all day. No, I planned for this. I know that it's happening. So if I can't do it on Saturday, I need to pick another day to do that. So I'm going to go through and break each of my tasks down a little bit further into those kind of things, the tasks that I'm working on in quarter one, and we will fill that whole page out. Now, the next page that we have in here is going to be our tracker. Now, if you go back to your list here on how you're going to record your inputs and your outputs, this is where we decided what was going to live in the tracker. So let's go ahead and get those things in here for January. So one of the things we decided was that the steps were going to go on the bottom, and so I want this to happen first, just so that I have this kind of established. We have got $1,500 or less. $2,000. $2,500. $3,000 and $3,500. Now, I'm using up a lot of lines of this tracker. This is a lot of real estate for step count, but I feel like this is important. You know, this is one of, if we go back and look here, this is one of my big goals. I'm not feeling bad about taking up that much real estate for one of my main focuses of this particular month, right? So I'm going to make a header here, kind of box off this area a little bit below, and here, because it is part of this kind of larger piece, I am going to use a ruler. I don't always feel like I need to do that, but I am going to do that this time. So we have got the top and the bottom. Here. And then, let's see, we also have the top and the bottom. Let's do the bottom first. And the top. Now, I am not going to extend this into February. Right now, I am just focused on January. We are going to see how things go. We're going to review at the end of January, and we're going to figure out if things are working or if I need to make adjustments to what I think is going to be my plan. And so I'm going to put that this is my step count. All right. So we have that. We have got, let's see. I determined that I was going to use one line for this, a line for this. I've got those, 2 lines for this, so we're up to 4. A line for that, 5. We're not going to do this. 5, and maybe we'll do a read. Okay, so let's put those in. I'm going to put down here. This is going to be YouTube. And there's a reason that I'm doing it here. You'll see when we get it done here. Okay. So there's that, and okay. All right. So I'm tracking my steps here, but I also want to put another line above that that says step goal achieved. Because I want to note whether or not I actually did what I set out to do in that. And then for this is going to be YouTube, and this is going to be long form video. And this is going to be shorts. So again, my YouTube, most of that is going to be in my other planner, but I am going to track when I post a video here, just so that I know I have that information. And then, let's see. The other things that we are going to do are, in January, I'm going to unpack the dining room and the office. So let's put that here. We're going to unpack the dining room and office. So we will pay attention to, on this page, we're tracking, we're having one line. Technically, it's going to take place on Saturday. So let's go ahead and put in a little dot. I'm going to get my gray clean dot marker, and we're going to put in that this is typically going to happen on Saturdays. Right? I'm going to leave that one. I'm not going to put that one yet. I'll show you why. So we have 4 Saturdays plus this one. For this one, I'm going to take this brighter color and mark, because that is the deadline for the dining room, right? So I will note whenever I work on that project. Okay, I've got my 2 lines for YouTube. 2 lines for YouTube. I have my lines for the step count. I need a line for when I am traveling. So let's put this down at the bottom here. No, let's put this up at the top. We're going to put travel days. Now, I want this because on those days I'm not going to be able to do a lot of these other habits that have to take place at home. So that's why I want a line item in here. We have add recipes to the file. And I'm going to put my goal here of 10 per week. I should put my goal here of 1 hour per week. All right. And then we have got, let's look at the next page here. Okay, what have we got on here? We are going to contribute to the Roth. We're going to make a whole separate spread for that. I'll work on that with you later. And then we are going to read. So let's add reading in here. And so this is just going to be, let's say, 30 minutes. We're going to do that pretty much every day, but I just want to, kind of note that on here, what days I'm reading. I will note a finished book in a certain way, and I'll put a little note over here that says how I do that once I get to that. Okay, so those are the main things that I've determined that I want in my tracker, but there are some other things that I'm going to want to track. So if I look here let's look at our health. I want to drink a specific amount of water per day. I want to sleep a particular amount per day, and I want to do the hypnosis. So let's add some health metrics in here. Let's say, oops. Actually, I don't need a color. I'm going to do hypnosis. And we said we were going to do that 3 times per week. And we are going to, for the sleep, I find that I have to get up around 7:30. So if I'm in bed, or shoot to be in bed by 11, that's pretty good. That means that I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep. So let's put in bed by 11. Okay, and then I want to look at my other existing planner, and I'm going to look and see if there's anything else that I want to make sure that I'm including in there. So I have things like reading meditations. I do that once a week. I do that all the time, but I do like this keeping track of what I'm reading in meditations. I just don't know if this is where I want that to live right now. So I don't think I'm going to add that. Let's see, I've got this. Outside 30 minutes. I'm getting pretty good at that, at being consistent about that. So I don't think I need that. Make art. I really, really want to do more of that, but I don't want to track it. That's more to feed my soul and make me happy. So let's do shower, fold laundry, dishwasher, those kind of things. I'm going to add those here at the bottom. We're going to say dishwasher, because it's nice to know when I run the dishwasher, when I fold the laundry, and when I'm showering. And then I do still have 5 different lines in here that I can add other things to as we go. I know, I do want to put in my work hours. So I'm going to put work hours in here. And that is going to be at my current job. And that's just going to be kind of a general tracker to make sure that I'm getting approximately the number of hours that I'm supposed to get. Now, one of the other things that I want to do before I close this up is, before I end this, is to put in some lines to separate out this weekly area. So if you look at how this is structured, you have got your item that you're tracking, and then you can track it for each week, and then you can track it by the days. So I want to make sure that I have got this marked off. So I used the gray, but because I went over the blue, it picked up some of that blue and some of that red in there. That's fine, but I am going to kind of scribble on the page until that's out and I'm getting the true color again. And then I think the other thing I want to do is I want to take this Staedtler fine liner gray and just put a line after each week at the end of the week. There, 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 and there. Again, with these trackers, that just kind of visually helps me stay on track and kind of figure out where each week is. And so for this, I can put that this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. And then when I come down here on February, I can note that week 6 starts here. So, and I will assign that to the first week of February. So I will put week 6, and then I'll put week 6 here. So that's the other thing I should do. I should write that this is week 1, this is week 2, this is week 3. Now, this seems redundant in January, but because when I get to February, I will put that this is week 6, and then I will put week 1 here, so that I know that that's the first week, right? Or I'll put week 6, but I'll know that it corresponds to which week it corresponds to, in terms of where I'm tracking. So this is the actual week of the year, whereas these numbers are that week within the month. So anyway, so that's my tracker set up. I am not going to put a line at the end here because I don't necessarily want to block that off, but I will kind of shade just so that I know that I have kind of ended that section. And that this is all going to be just notes. So I can write that here, notes. All right. So that is our tracker done. Now we're tracking the things that we determined are most important to us. We're not just tracking things necessarily to track them. We do have a couple things that we're just tracking to track, but for the most part, we are tracking the things that are important, that are going to move us towards accomplishing what our goals are for the year. And so this is why we did all of these pages ahead of time. So that we have our annual plan. So again, we're looking at, for example, the unpacking here, the getting our home established. We're going to unpack in this time period. And then as we go into that quarter, we're going to unpack, and this is how we're going to do it. We've got our deadlines here. So the deadlines are going to be in pink or orange. And then we have got a list here of tracking that it's going to get done. So now we are going to move on. This for me is my when did I last page. So I'm just going to mark that that's what it is on here. And then I'm not going to, this is going to be when did I last. So I'm just going to mark that I do that, that I'm going to use it for that, but I'm not going to do anything with it yet because I don't have anything that I have accomplished yet or completed yet. So now we're going to move into January. And I'm not going to do this page just yet for January, although I do think that I'm going to have kind of my overall goals here. So I've got these goals for the first part of the year. So we're going to monetize the YouTube channel. We're going to do health, and then we're going to do travel. So actually, let's go ahead and do those in here. So we are going to note, these are the things that we're paying attention to in the first quarter. Okay. All right. So this may seem like it's getting a little bit repetitive, but it will really hopefully help us stay on track with what matters. So here we are going to have YouTube stats. We're going to have step count. And we're going to have travel. All right, for this, I want to do a 3-part let's see. Let's do here. Here. Okay. So I've just done a very little graph here. All right. Here's how we're doing this. We are going to put watch hours and subscribers. This is going to be on 1/1. This is going to be on 1/10. This is going to be on 1/30. And this is going to be the result. So if I look here, my goal is 4,000 watch hours, 1,000 subscribers. So I am noting on here where I'm at the beginning of the month, where I'm at midway through the month, and where I'm at the end of the month, so that I can kind of reframe my, or re-evaluate my plan as I go along. So I'm going to see kind of what that's doing in that point in time. So where I'm at each of those times. Now my step counts, we are going to have, we determined what that was going to look like, didn't we? Here. And we determined that in January up until okay, so what we're going to do in January is January 1st to January 25th. This is going to be 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at 10, 5 minutes at noon, 5 minutes at 2, and then 10 minutes after dinner. Okay. $126. We're going to increase to what? 6, 6, 6, 6, 12. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do for January. This is just kind of tracking. When we get to the end of January, there's going to be this box where we can recap. And so here's where I'm going to put in my total step count for the month, my average. So I'm going to put my December average. This is my number to beat, right? I will put what that is here. I don't know what that is yet. I will look that up on January 1st, and I'll write that in. I've got my travel area ready to go, so when I have times that I'm going to travel, I know I'm supposed to travel at some point for, let's see, for the Marriott visit. So I've got that happening this month, and so I know I need to put the dates in for that when I have that exact thing. So that is the beginning of my month. I do want to, actually, I want to add a task in here that I want to create an electronic packing list. So that's going to be a task for January for travel. All right, so we're moving along here, and I'm going to kind of wrap this up here, and then I'll do a separate video to plan January. We'll plan that together, but we'll do that as our separate as a separate video. This is how we're going to break down kind of those goals into the beginning of January, the things that we've determined are most important, because we've gone through this funnel, right, of determining what we're paying attention to in this quarter, what are our main priorities, and so those are the things that are going to follow us all the way through this quarter. And then we can definitely change as we go forward. You know, if we get to the end of January and I'm writing at the end of January in my kind of January wrap up, I am noting that maybe these are not the 3 things I want to focus on for February. I can always change that up for February. I have not committed to anything yet for February, even though that is what I have said in the beginning of the quarter, that's what I want to focus on. If I decide I want to change that up for February, I can. But for right now, that's where I'm at for the quarter. That's what I'm really going to focus on. And then we've also got our quarter 1 goals broken down here in terms of all the different goals that are going to be important for us. So that is how I have taken all of this excitement that we worked through on this goal planning sheet and transferred it into a concrete plan in my planner. And it's one of the reasons why I always suggest that you do not start by just opening this up and throwing some tabs on it and getting everything put in here right away. We worked things out. We got really, really messy. These are things that I just... you know, I'm not going to want to keep this from year to year, this messiness here, but it really, really helped me get a concrete idea of what goes into this. I do also want to address something that I wrote off camera. So I did put in that I want to get these self-care items into my quarter, and that these are the medical procedures or medical visits that I need to schedule for the year. Now, I'm not necessarily going to do them all in quarter 1, but I do want to get them all scheduled in quarter 1. I did all of mine. I usually do them at the end of the year. I have in the past. I did them all at the end of 2024. I was planning to do them at the end of 2025, but then I got laid off and didn't have health insurance. And so now I'm going to be in 2026 when I do those. So I want to get them done closer to the beginning of the year, because you're supposed to get them done every year. So that's just kind of something else that I've added on here that I need to make sure I get into my planner. So I'm not totally done with these sheets. These are not going to kind of disappear yet, but I will be moving these to a place where they're not real visible, and I do have the information that I need to have visible here. One very last thing that I want to do before we wrap things up is I want to indicate for January my paydays. So I am going to take this green color here, this lovely Grinchy green, and I am going to just highlight in green my paydays. When I start doing budgeting and work on my retirement pages and stuff like that, or when I'm going to contribute to the Roth, all of that kind of thing, I want to know when those paychecks are going to drop. So for right now, I'm just going to do January because I don't necessarily want to have the whole year spoken for at this point. But that at least gives me a good start for January. So a couple of things that I wanted to get done in this video that we didn't get done, but we will get done before the beginning of the year, are that we have to plan the month of January. I do have stickers coming in. They are not here yet. So I have just gotten the marker colors out that coordinate with the stickers, and we will plan with the intention of putting stickers in later. I don't like to do that, but we'll do that for January. That'll be fine. That's my fault for ordering stickers late. And then I also do want to go into how I'm going to set up my retirement tracker and my weight tracker. Those are two things that I have done in the past, and they will be in this notes section here at the end. Because it will carry me through the whole 6 months. So each will get a page, and we will get that figured out. So thank you for joining me for this goal planning. I hope that you learned something. I hope that this kind of helped you make sense of all your goals, and remember that there will be more things dropping after this, but they probably will not come tomorrow. I'm going to drop all of this goal setting on Sunday, the 28th of December, so that you guys have plenty of time to look through it and plan your own goals. I don't want to kind of hold back on this and try and just gradually release it, one day at a time. But I will add the January video probably sometime in the next week, probably one of these 3 days here, and then the same thing with that retirement video. So those will be coming here along with an alternate plan with me for the week. So that is what you can expect, and I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate you going through this whole goal setting process with me so that we can get our planner to work for us instead of us working to fill the planner. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.